Let's speak to Michelle Chisholm, a care worker and pro-motoring campaigner. Good morning to you, Michelle.
Good morning, Matthew.
Where are you on pay per mile as an alternative to fuel duty and the road tax?
So, Matthew, you and I have spoken before on the radio. And to be honest with you, I personally found that your opinion was extremely selfish. We were actually having a conversation about ULEZ, and you turned around to me and said, well, I'm all right. You know, I've got a diesel car. When I go on holiday, I just pay the £12.50. Now, I found that a really selfish thought process. The thing is, what you've got to understand, and I'll give you some great examples. I'm at work at the moment. I'm getting a lady who's very disabled, washed and dressed, and she's not mobile, so she has to go into a wheelchair. I've driven 5 miles here this morning. When I leave here, my next client is 5 miles away. I am then taking that young lady who's extremely disabled as well to a special day centre, and there are very few in this country, and it's 8 miles to get there, 8 miles to come home. Then I'm going to be going to an old lady who's 98 to take her shopping.
It is only a 3-hour show.
Yeah, but the point is, I am driving an extremely large amount of mileage every single day. Now, what you've got to appreciate is that care support workers are earning an average of £12.50 an hour. With a ULEZ fee, that's their hourly, 1 hour of their day gone. Now, what I'm saying is, you basically laughed at us for saying that pay per mile was on the cards. You know, it was like we were conspiracy theorists. We knew what was happening. People ridiculed Susan Hall, who was running for the mayoral candidate.
As I said, it is only a 3-hour show. Just come to the point. I asked you, do you think it's going to be better value than the system we have at present? We've had 5 minutes on how much you hate me, but it would just be nice to know whether you think, when you're doing your work, whether it would be cheaper using pay per mile or more expensive.
I drive 180 miles a week average. So is it going to be cheaper? Of course it isn't. This is about the rich.
If fuel duty was cut?
Absolutely not. You've got £12. You've got £87.50 a week just for your ULEZ. I've got a man that lives next door. His wife is in the cemetery. He drives a non-compliant car. It costs him £12.50 to go to the cemetery. If pay per mile was brought in, now bearing in mind he's on a pension, he's getting £122 a week from the government. He's just lost his winter fuel allowance because he's not entitled to pension credit. To go to the cemetery is actually 16 miles round trip. He can't take a bus. He can't take a train.
But would it be cheaper by pay per mile, though, if you didn't have to pay? That's the thing we're talking about.
Of course you would. Of course.
OK, but we don't know what the figures are, so you're guessing, that it would be. Because it is possible it might be cheaper for people who use low amounts of mileage in rural areas. Or perhaps we could look, perhaps it may be that the fringes of London will be cheaper to drive through than the centre of London, because road pricing could see different charges. So you're speculating that you're going to be paying more, but you don't actually know.
Of course it's going to be about paying more. If I'm driving personally 180 to 200 miles a week, of course that's going to cost more than my road tax.
But if your petrol's half price, that's why the duty goes. No, but the duty will go off it, Michelle. That's what we're talking about. So you no longer pay duty on your petrol. No,
No, petrol is going up. If you look at Fair Fuel Campaign, they have been campaigning for years to get the fuel duty cut.
OK, Michelle, right? So I'm just looking at what Sir John Armitt has been saying, the head of our National Infrastructure Committee, who I'd like to think possibly knows more about it. And he's saying that duty will disappear. The fuel, there won't be any duty on fuel. 52p per litre less it will be. It's
about restriction of movement. People should be free. If you've already paid for your taxes...
So it's not about money, it's about freedom of movement now. Sorry,
but it's about that as well.
OK.
At the end of the day, we should be free to move.
Yeah, but it might be cheaper if there's no fuel duty and you don't drive very far. That's my point, Michelle. It could be cheaper.
You know yourself, Matthew, this is never going to work out cheaper.
No, I wait for people like yourself to tell me what I'm like, that I'm rude and laugh at you, none of which I think is true. Well, there you go. Well, isn't it lovely we can have differences of opinion, Michelle? Thank you. Lovely call. Bless you.